Hello everyone, I'm Fander. I would like to present my research about analysis the concept of the Rote, Sabu and Dawan language. The background: every language in the world has its own rules, be it phonology, for morphology, or syntax. This is what makes a language interesting to research. Everyone has their own understanding of language because every day language cannot be separated from human activities as a means of communicating with each other. Language is sometimes used in various contexts, namely educational language, military language, political language, love language, and other. Some are also associated with the subtitles of language or language media, such spoken language, written language, and spoken. This opinion is of course usually a form of idea from the truth expressed by someone. Language is used a communication tool and is important for human life. Namely, is used as a tool to express feelings, ideas, and truths with other humans. Multilingual and multicultural societies exist through their language which spread and preserve knowledge and culture in a sustainable manner. Language diversity cannot be separated from cultural diversity. Viewed from a cultural perspective, language is a cultural aspect. The races of language is something that is profitable. This first language will reflect the cultural roots there exist in determines cultural patterns, but also determines human ways and way of thinking. A nation whose language is different from other nations will also have different cultural style and ways of thinking. This cultural difference and human ways of thinking originate from difference in language. Language influences cultural and human truth, so the characteristics of language will be reflected in the attitudes and cultural of its speakers. And then, problem formulation. How is the kinship relationship between the Sabu, Rote, and Dawan language presented? And then, research objectives to understand the presentation of the kinship relationship between the Sabu, Rote, and Dawan language. Benefit of this research: theoretical. The benefit of this research is a material for developing knowledge in comparative historical linguistics and as reference material for future research related to language relationship. Practical institution for the development of future research for the reader is a reference material for future research and for the public that the community can preserve the kinship relations between the Sabu, Rote, and Dawan language. And then next about the concept and theories. The theory we'll use in this research is comparative historical linguistics. Comparative historical linguistics is a branch of linguistics that study the evaluation and relationship between human language from time to time. In this study, research compare existing languages to find similarities and differences between them and trace the origins and linguistic change over time and identify pattern of change that occur in related language. By studying the difference in sound, for phonology, word structure or morphology, grammar or syntax, or vocabulary or lexical in the language they can conclude the relationship between the language. One of the methods used in comparative historical linguistics is the reconstruction of ancient language or proto-language. By studying the similarities and difference between related modern language, linguistics can reconstruct possible ancient language from that were the common ancestor of the language group. The development of human language is not static. On the contrary, language continues to change over time. In this context, comparative historical linguistics aims to understand the causes and consequences of language change and study how different languages develop from their common ancestors. Studying comparative historical linguistics involves comparative analysis between related languages. By comparing the phonological, so morphological or word structure, syntax or sentence structure, and lexical or vocabulary elements of this language, linguistic experts can trace the traits of change that have occurred over time. Main goal of comparative historical linguistics is to identify and understand the historical development of the language within a particular linguistic family. Through comparative analysis, research can determine the relationship between these languages, identify the phonological and grammatical changes that occurred, and describe the path of language evolution. Lexicostatistical method. If in the description of method and techniques for determining isolates as language or dialects, one of them has been described conceptually regarding the lexicostatistical method. Then in this section, the emphasis is placed more on explaining the steps or technique carried out in applying the lexicostatistical method. The techniques in question are collect basic vocabulary or related language, and then the next one is determine and calculate which pairs are related to, and the last one is about linking the calculation result in the verb of kinship percentage with kinship categories. After basic vocabulary in several languages being compared was obtained, the number of related vocabulary word was calculated. Calculations are carried out by the professor developing with line, excluding clues that will not be taken in account in determining related words. Glosses that are not taken in account are glosses that do not have a verb in which they can be released. They are empty, either in one of the languages or in all the languages being compared, including in these clauses which are not taken in account are glosses with realizations are verb of observations from other languages. And then determining related words which can be identical related words, similar related words, and different related words. Like this. Like this is about bahasa Bu ai, bahasa Rote, hai or ai, bahasa Dawat ai, ghost is api. And then make a presentation of related verb. At this stage, a count is made of the number of basic words that can be numbered instead, and the number of related verb found from the result of determining related verb. Next, the number of related verb is divided by the number of base words being compared and multiplied by 100% to obtain the percentage of the number of related verbs. The formula used is the formula proposed by Robert Elias, B less, like this: T log C 2 log R, length of time per C is about percentage of related verb, here R is about constant or index. The constant or index is the percentage of words that are expected to persist within 1,000 years. Morris Suarez proposed 81%. And then after computing the percentage of related words, the percentage of related words to noun, then the percentage is connected to the following language kinship level categories to determine whether the kinship relationship is one language family, subfamily or subfamily, language family or stock, microphylum, mesophylum or microphylum. Like this, language level is we can say language is 81 and above. Family language is around 37 until 80. Stock language 12 until 36. And then microphylum is about 4 until 11. Mesophylum is about 1 until 3, and microphylum 1 to down. Next, after the level of linguistic kinship can be determined, the kinship relationship is shown the form of a tree diagram. Languages that at a certain phase have the same history as a language family or subfamily or in the same circle. In the the last one is about the research methodology. Research objective. This research was conducted to determine the percentage of kinship relation between the Sabu, Rote, and Dawan language. And then about research method. This research will use two research methods, namely quantitative to calculate the percentage of kinship relation in the Sabu, Rote, and Dawan language, and then qualitative to examine 200 vocabulary words from the Sabu, Rote, and Dawan language. In this research will take samples from several informants to determine the relationship between the third language mentioned above. And then place and time of research. This research was carried out in Kupang City, Institute Tenggara through interviews. Time will adjust. And then research focus. The research focus on this study is three languages, namely Sabu, Rote, and Dawan language. And then research objective. Research objects. The objects of this research were three informants who met the criteria. Who, for its language-based study, one informant will be sanctioned. Informant criteria include native speaker, mature age, physical and mental health, and the articulator are not effective, and the last one is loud mobility. And then research instrument. The instrument of this research is the Morris Suarez lexicostatistic 200 word list. And then collocation techniques. That collocation technique in this research will carry out into state, namely the researchers ask the informant for the vocabulary to compare according to the Morris Suarez lexicostatistics 200 word list, and then the research record the informant's answer as carefully as possible. They record vocabulary used words that are used daily and are commonly correct. And then data analysis techniques. In this research, data analysis techniques were carried out based on the following state. The first, transcribe, record data that has been obtained from informants, and then determine basic vocabulary that is proved to be related according to data that has been collected from informants. And then next one, after basic vocabulary in the two languages being compared is obtained, the number of related vocabularies is calculated. And then Next one, make percentage of related verb by calculating the total of the same sound plus the similarity of the sound and the same meaning, and then drawing the conclusion. This is about my research. Thank you.